I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. Today we're doing another Reddit read, a Reddit thread that one of the members of the post-traumatic parenting community sent me asking how I would respond to this. I'm going to paraphrase the question because I feel like it will be too detailed if I read the whole thing. But this is an interesting one, and it's something that I have a lot of expertise in. And the question's about balancing parenthood and a career, which I feel like a lot of post-traumatic parents are doing. So if this is a topic that you're interested in, if you want to know how someone like me manages to raise a whole bunch of kids while being a PhD level psychologist, while writing a book, while doing public speaking and school consulting, if you've ever wondered about that, I'm going to explain it. I'll pull back the curtain how ordinary folks do this. If you're interested in topics like this, click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. Someone help me understand how people have careers and kids. Pretty much the title. How does someone like Blake Lively have 4 kids and a thriving career? How does Amy Coney Barrett in the Supreme Court and also has time to raise 7 kids? How is it that Kim Kardashian complains about how hard it is to raise kids when she's immensely rich and has time to attend countless glam events? I'm sure there are many other examples, but you get the idea. Are we not getting the full picture? Help me understand. And then she adds, DH works full-time and I'm a stay-at-home mom of only 2 kids. Most days I am so tired and so burnt out. It's hard to find a spark of joy in the ruckus. I used to love so many things. Now I'm a personal servant, udder, night nurse, laundry lady, cook, and part-time CSR, always running, and always tired. So first of all, yeah. Parenting 2 kids is a lot of work. The only does not even relate because you can be parenting 5 kids who have relatively easier temperaments, and you could be parenting 1 kid who is colicky and cries nonstop, and 5 kids could be easier. So the amount of kids does not make a difference, and I say this as a mother of a large family. First of all, so let's understand how does that happen, right? How does somebody balance career and parenting, especially when you value parenting and you want to be present with your kids and you want to give them the best of you, not just the rest of you? Like, you don't want to only see them occasionally on the weekends, right? How do you do that? So this was actually, for me, quite a journey to figure out. And I'm going to point out something, a commonality, I think that probably a lot of Redditors pointed out to this person, which is that most of the people you're talking about have significant money and privilege. So if you think about a lot of the things that you're talking about, like you're the chauffeur and the laundress and the cook and the personal assistant and the homework tutor, like you're all of those things, many of those things can actually be outsourced. So if you're working and you have that money cushion because you're bringing in a salary that justifies it, you can hire someone to do house cleaning, cooking perhaps. I'm pretty sure Kim Kardashian is not doing the bulk of the cooking for her kids. I'm pretty sure Blake Lively probably isn't doing carpool and busy, talking to 10 other parents about like who's driving next Tuesday to the soccer game. Pretty sure that they're not mowing their own lawn, pretty sure they're not pressing their own kids' Catholic school uniform in Amy Coney Barrett's case, right? I'm pretty sure that they're outsourcing a lot of those services. Now here's where it gets sticky. Some of us are mere mortals and we don't have Kardashian cash. So how do you figure that stuff out? How do you figure out what can be outsourced and what can't? So I actually had to go through this process because as a post-traumatic parent and as somebody who is kind of recovering from perfectionism and people pleasing, I really had to learn that I actually cannot do it all and I can't even do it most. The struggle was when I was still a graduate student and we didn't have a ton of like a cushion of cash because my husband and I were both students and we had kids and I was working, and I was a grad student. And that was when it was a struggle. Once I became a psychologist and I was pulling in a salary, even once I was sort of an advanced graduate student, when you're an advanced graduate student, you very often earn a stipend, or if you have a research job, you get paid by it. Not major money, but you get paid something, like some money is actually coming in. And I really learned early on that my children will survive. For example, if many suppers are extremely simple, scrambled eggs and soup from my freezer that I made in the summer because I had freer time in the summer, peanut butter sandwiches on whole wheat bread, and store-bought rotisserie chicken, but a calm and present mother who had time to read to them, put them to bed, do homework with them. Basically what I figured out was I sat down and I thought about all the tasks, and I said, what can I outsource? And what is something that you need your mom or your dad to do for you? And even if it could be outsourced, I'm not going to outsource it. And I really sat down with my husband and we figured it out. And then it became a matter of budgeting. I would rather serve scrambled eggs for supper and grilled cheese for supper and food like that and hire cleaning help. Like, if we're gonna figure out a budget that way, because for me, cleaning was very time consuming. As a post-traumatic person, my time management isn't always great. And especially when I'm doing research and when I'm working and when I'm writing, sometimes time can escape me. And then I would come upstairs and my house would look like a bomb had hit it. And then I would be tense with the kids and I would be frustrated and I wouldn't be in a good mood. So it made sense for me to say, you know what, cleaning, hiring a cleaning service, hiring a cleaning person, hiring a housekeeper, depending on what stage of my career I was in, is worth it. But in exchange, we're eating cheaper suppers and my kids are wearing more hand-me-downs, because that was worth it for me. Versus certain things that I felt like, no, you need your mom to do that for you. You need your mom to bake 24 pink cupcakes for your birthday party with you, because that's a life experience that you're going to remember forever. So yeah, I could buy 24 pink cupcakes in the store, but that is something that I also want to have that memory with my child. So it's worth it. But that might mean that that night we're eating grilled cheese for supper because I only have so much time and this is the time I have. So really understanding trauma sometimes removes our time sense. So really reminding ourselves just how long things take, what is worth doing, what is not worth doing. And for me as a people pleaser, I always want to do things, if someone asks me for a favor, I always want to do that favor. And learning to say no, because I have a more primary task. Saying yes to you means saying no to my kids, so I'm not going to do that. For me, I was finding carpool to be a hassle, and it was worth it for me to pay another mom in the carpool to take over my day, meaning I was part of the carpool and we had, it was my job, let's say Wednesday mornings. You know what, I will pay you to do Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So my kids are in the carpool because the bus was not a feasible solution at that time. My kids will be in the carpool, and I'm going to pay you to do the Wednesday carpool, but like the Thursday route home from school, that one I could do because the mornings were too stressful, but the afternoon I could do. What can I simplify, take off my plate, outsource, and just say, you know what, this is not even important at all. Like, I don't garden. I just don't. I don't even have the headspace for like paying a gardener to do more than cut my lawn. I don't have flowers because I'm raising children, not flowers right now. I grew up in a home that had a beautiful garden. My father was, a very avid gardener. Some of my neighbors have beautiful gardens and I love their gardens. I would love to have flowers on my front lawn, and I don't have any real estate left in my brain for a garden, so I don't have one. And that's just a stupid example because that's clearly not important. But there are many things that I say, if someone else can do this better, more efficient, for sure cheaper than me, it's their job. Like recently I hired someone to transfer a whole bunch of data from one computer to another, a whole bunch of annoying tech tasks. I don't love doing tech tasks. Honestly, these are things I know how to do. And I know it would take me about 2 to 3 hours to finish all of these tasks. I need my 2 or 3 hours to do things that only I have the expertise for, which means anything that takes a PhD in psychology to do, or anything that only your mom can do. Those 2 things I'm going to do. The tech task, the manual transferring of these files, the updating of the system, all of this kind of stuff, anybody can do. So I'm going to hire somebody because it makes sense right now for me. I think at the beginning of a career, when you are working but you're not making all that much money, that's when it gets a little bit harder, because maybe it isn't justified. Like the expense of having somebody else do your laundry or iron your shirts or whatever isn't justified. And then you figure out, what can you reduce? Like, can you, for example, take shirts right out of, like, I know with uniform shirts, can you buy the non-iron ones that if you take them out of the dryer when they're damp and hang them up, they look like they've been ironed and it's good enough? Can you find a much faster, more systematized way to do suppers? For example, cook a lot in the summer and have it in your freezer. Like, it's worth the investment of a freezer so that you can cook a lot of stuff, and then during the school year when you're super busy, you can pull things out of the freezer. Can you cook twice? Can you cook once, eat twice? Meaning double every recipe, so you freeze. So anything you make, like I made lasagna last night, froze one. So there's another lasagna in the future. Either way, you have to clean the kitchen. You have to clean the same amount of utensils and the same amount of everything. But now you have 2 suppers instead of 1. Like, what can you systematize about your mental load? I have 5 freezers, because that makes sense for me, because in the summer is a relatively quiet time in my practice. Many of my patients go to camp. A lot of the schools I consult with are not in session over the summer, so I have either almost no meetings with them or like 1 over the phone every so often. So summers are historically quiet in my practice, so that's when I cook. And I cook a lot of suppers. First of all, I habitually double every recipe I make. That way I can always freeze one. So anytime I'm cooking, I'm doubling. But on top of that, in the summer, I like to really freeze huge amounts of casseroles, lasagnas. I have a recipe for a lazy lasagna where you don't have to boil the noodles, because freezing it and then defrosting it makes the noodles moist enough so that you don't need to. Tons of soups, tons of main dishes like chickens, meats, pulled briskets, meatballs, whatever I know my kids like, it's in the freezer. So if I have a really busy week, I know that supper is taken care of. Maybe I have to put together a quick salad, but supper is taken care of. Personally, I value nurturing my family with food. Like, I value cooking for my family. I feel like it feels homey to come home and smell supper cooking. But I don't want to be frazzled, and I don't want to be cooking as my kids are home, because when they come home, I want to transition out of work and into being a present parent. And I don't do multitasking well as a post-traumatic person. So it's hard for me to be cooking and relating to a kid and doing homework with a kid all at the same time. So I'd rather focus. So if the suppers are made, they're there, and then I kind of feel rich, right? I go to my freezer and like it's all stocked, and I feel like, okay, I am prepared. So what can you do to systematize the mental load? What can you do to outsource? There is nothing wrong with your supper coming from, like, one night it's rotisserie chicken from Costco, and one night it's pizza, and one night, like, so you're buying a lot of supper. Yeah, you're spending a little bit more than you want to. Maybe you're not thrilled with the nutritional content, but honestly speaking, your kids are having a relatively balanced meal. I'm not saying to give them something super unhealthy every single night. I'm not saying they should have Pop-Tarts for supper every night, but I'm saying, like, you can buy a rotisserie chicken and you can cut it up and turn it into chicken salad, and it's delicious, and it's healthy enough, it's fine. You can use frozen and prepared meals to take that off your plate, even if it's not every night, it's some nights. There are also ways to give yourself a break. So if you don't have that in your budget, making a co-op with a fellow parent and saying, you know what, each day, our kids will play together in a different person's house. So, like, you're the mom on duty on Mondays, and I get 4 hours to myself, or 2 hours, or 1 hour, whatever amount of time, during which time I will either take a break and do something I enjoy to make myself into a mother again. So maybe I like to paint, and I'm gonna remember that I had interests once, and I'm gonna do that. Maybe it's time to, like, cook and take care of household tasks without a little kid pulling at my skirt every 2 seconds. Because, maybe you're nursing a baby, but then you have a toddler, so the toddler's playing at a friend's house. And then the day that you're the mom on duty, you're playing with the toddlers and your friend has her break. And usually toddlers amuse each other, so it makes it much easier. Your morning becomes less stressful because they're playing together if they're a good match for each other. So there are a lot of ways to think creatively about reducing the mental load, reducing the physical load, and systematizing and creating as many redundancies as you can, right? That emergency, I have to do laundry because it's the soccer day and I didn't do the soccer laundry. Maybe just buy 2 soccer uniforms so you never have that emergency, because you know that you always do laundry. If you set up a laundry day, like I do laundry on Wednesdays, and you have enough soccer uniforms that you don't have to wash emergency uniforms in between, it's worth it. It's sometimes worth it to have more than one pair of shoes, so you're not always hunting for the pair of shoes in the house, because it's worth it. Just systematize, figure out what crucially must be done by you and what can be outsourced to another human, and do those things. Because honestly speaking, there is no moral reason why I must be the one who irons my kid's uniform shirt. There is no moral reason why I must be the person who cooks the chicken. There is no moral reason why I must be the person who, mows the lawn or who washes the soccer uniform, right? I happen to enjoy cooking for my family because I value nurturing them in that way, but if I didn't, I wouldn't do it. I would find another way, whether that would be buying it, whether that would be hiring someone to come in. I certainly, now that I do have household help, I certainly do have that person act as my sous chef, right? Chop the onions, peel the potatoes, so that all I have to do when I'm cooking is actually cook. I don't have to first peel the potatoes before I actually use the potatoes to make mashed potatoes or to make shepherd's pie or whatever I'm making in that moment. Because again, I really need to preserve myself for parenting. Just like in psychotherapy, myself is my tool, right? The self of the therapist is the tool that heals. Myself as a parent is the most important thing in parenting for my children. So yeah, here I am as a clinical psychologist telling you that your kids will absolutely not suffer if you serve them chicken nuggets for supper and ignore all the social media warnings about how it's toxic and it's poisonous and why do you even bother having kids if you're going to feed them chicken nuggets. It's so much better to serve them the chicken nuggets and the frozen French fries and be present and play with them and have that wonderful evening with them than it is to, debone a duck from scratch. It's not necessary to do that. So yeah, that is how people manage to balance careers and kids. And I will tell you, the key word is balance. Like a seesaw, right? At every so often we tip one to one side and then we got to tip to the other side. We have to figure it out. If I know that I've been very busy with a project for a while and my kids have been getting more of the rest of me than the best of me, then I want to very mindfully reset that and be very, 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 very present with my kids. One thing that I like to do a lot with my kids is every so often have a special day where the child and I go somewhere, just them and me, for an excursion where they get my undivided attention for an entire day, because I want to rebalance that every so often. That, if I've been busy, I want to rebalance. That's the beauty of repair. At the same token, parental burnout is kind of normal. It makes sense, especially as a stay-at-home mom when they're very little and very demanding. Little humans, it sounds like you have a toddler and a newborn or a very small baby. Yeah, when you're the udder and you're the primary source of nourishment, that's exhausting. Cows, all they do is make milk all day. They eat hay and grass and moo and make milk. They don't also clean the house and work and, and chauffeur and deal with toddlers' meltdowns. All they do is stand in a field and produce milk. So if you're nursing a baby, yeah, that's hard work. So don't discount that. But I will tell you that stage ends. I kind of miss that stage, but I kind of don't, right? I miss that closeness and I miss that sense that I am giving my baby something that no one else can ever give, and that sense of real attunement and bonding. And I really don't miss being woken up every 2 hours. I really don't miss feeling so tied down to home and so like limited in where I could go. And I definitely, as a post-traumatic person, don't miss how touched out I used to feel when I was a parent of a toddler and a baby who was nursing, because that's exhausting. Your body sometimes just needs a break. And if you're feeling that way, please don't beat yourself up about it, but know that it's a stage. It's a beautiful stage, but it's a passing stage. Like, this will pass. Think of it kind of like another metaphor we use in post-traumatic parenting, the sky and the weather, right? This is just the weather. The sky holds the weather, but the sky is not changed by the weather. This season of life is a season. Now it's winter, or now it's summer, or now it's spring. And yeah, there are some beautiful aspects to winter or summer or spring, but there are some difficult aspects. Like, spring has a lot of unexpected storms and, you know, a lot of rain and a lot of unpredictability. And right now you're in spring and you're, you know, the primary nutritional source for your kid. It won't be spring forever. It will become summer and then winter, right? Like, the seasons will change. And this level of intensity that you're feeling, you will not be feeling. So know that there are ways to balance being a parent. I'm just giving you my practical suggestions. There are ways to balance being a parent and having a career, but they do involve really accepting that you're human and you cannot do it all. You cannot even do it most. So you need to pick what the crucial tasks are, do those, and outsource everything else that you can. Outsource, systematize, simplify, or do away with everything else. Okay, so those are your techniques. You outsource, you simplify, you do away with, or you systematize. Those are your options. And for sure, you need a partner who's on board. It's really hard to do that as a single parent. I don't know how any single parent would do that. When Kim Kardashian says, like, it's so hard to be a single parent, understand that Kim Kardashian is not actually a single parent, because I'm pretty sure she has a cast of thousands helping her in her parenting. If you have a nanny and a housekeeper and a laundress and a cook and a, you know, chief chef and bottle washer, you know, if you have all of those people, kind of not a single parent. You're a single parent in the sense that the buck stops with you. You're the attachment figure. You are the one who makes decisions for these kids. You are in that sense, you don't have a parenting partner to like balance decisions off of, although you can outsource that too. It's called a child therapist, but you know, that's not called a single parent. To me, a single parent is a mom who works like all day as, you know, a job like a secretary that's, you know, not that high paid, raising 4 kids with an ex-husband who is a toxic influence at best and downright abusive at worst. And that's a single parent and cannot afford the kind of household help that a Kim Kardashian can afford. So yeah, Kim Kardashian's not a single parent in that sense. So, you know, there are other things that we can learn from Kim Kardashian, but had a single parent isn't one of them. So does that help? It sounds like as a stay-at-home mom, you're maybe thinking of like, how would I ever transition back to work? I hope those ideas help you. Think of outsource, simplify, do away with, or systematize. And if you can do that, then it's probably much more manageable, especially if you have a parenting partner, as this Redditor does, who can help balance the load, because it shouldn't all be on one parent. I mean, the nursing is kind of all on one parent, but everything else should not be on one parent. There has to be a way to systematize the load and balance the load so you're both carrying it. But yeah, that is how people like me manage careers and raising kids, and we balance and rebalance and think it over again, probably like every few months. That's how that works. If you like this content, please click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. Please send this to a friend who might need this kind of practical advice. If you want to hang out where the other post-traumatic parentings hang out, check out at Dr. Koslowitz Psychology on Instagram. That's where all of us post-traumatic parents, because we get it, we've been there, we're post-traumatic parents too. That's where we hang out. You can DM me on Instagram. If you have a question or an idea for a future episode, please comment below, because I do very often respond with the next YouTube installment, so feel free to do that. If you want to hear my in-depth interview with other post-traumatic parenting experts, check out the Post-Traumatic Parenting Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, the Post-Traumatic Parenting book is coming out in 2025 from Broadleaf, so stay tuned for that. Till next time.